We're studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy, Text 5. It's February 26, 2026. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Naranarayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavat utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 9, Text 5. Yea, tu, tvadiya, Sharanambuja, Kosha, Gandham, Jigranti, Karna, Vivarai, Shruti, Vata, Nitam, Bhaktya, Grihita, Charana, Paraya, Cha, Tesham, Napaisi, Nata, Vidayam Buhat, Svapumsam, Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakoshakantham, Jigranti karna vivarai shrutivadanitam, Bhaktya grita charana paraya chatesham, Na paishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam, Na paishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam. Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham, Jigranti karna vivarai shrutivadanitam, Bhaktya grihita charana paraya chatesham, Na paishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam. Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham, Jigranti karna vivarai shrutivadanitam, Bhaktya grihita charana paraya chatesham, Bhaktya grihita Na paishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam.
Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham,
Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham,
Jikaranti karna vivar ya shrutivadanitam,
Jigranti karna vivarai shrutivadanitam,
Bhaktya grihita charana paraya chatesham,
Bhaktya grihita charana paraya chatesham,
Napashinata hirdayam burhat shvapumsam,
Na paishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam.
Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham,
Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham,
Jigranti karna vivarai shrutivadanitam,
Tigranti karna vivarai shrutivata nitam.
Bhaktya grihita charanam parayachatesham.
Bhaktya grihita charanam parayachatesham.
Napaishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam.
Napaishinata hridayam buruhat swapumsam.
Yetu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham.
Yetu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham.
Tigrante karna vivara shruti bhaktanitam.
Tigranti karna vivarai shrutivata nitam.
Bhaktya grahita charana paraya chantesam.
Bhaktya grihita charana parayachatesham.
Napaishinata Riyataya Purahat Svapumsam.
Napaishinata hridayam buruhat swapumsam. Would anyone online like to lead the chanting of the text?
Yetu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham.
Yetu tvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham.
Chigranti karna vivarai shrutivata
Tigranti karna vivarai shrutivata nitam.
Bhaktya grihita charana parayachatesham.
Bhaktya grihita charana parayachatesham.
Napaishinata hridayam buruhat svapumsam.
Napaishinata hridayam buruhat swapumsam. Yea,
Yea,
those
those
who,
who,
two,
two,
but
Tvadiya,
your
your
charanambuja,
Charanambuja,
lotus feet,
kosha,
inside,
inside,
gandham, flavor, jigranti, smell, karnavivarai, for the channel of the ears, shruti vatanitam, carried by the air of Vedic sound, bhaktya, by devotional service, grihita charana, accepting the lotus feet, paraya, transcendental, cha, also, tesham, for them, na, never, apaishi, separate, nata, O my Lord, hridaya, heart, amburuhat, from the lotus of, svapumsam, of your own devotees. Translation. O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet, carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears, accept your devotional service. For them you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. For the pure devotee of the Lord, there is nothing beyond the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord knows that such devotees do not wish anything more than that. The word too specifically establishes this fact. The Lord also does not wish to be separated from the lotus hearts of those pure devotees. That is the transcendental relationship between the pure devotees and the personality of Godhead. Because the Lord does not wish to separate himself from the hearts of such pure devotees, it is understood that they are specifically dearer than the impersonalists. The relationship of the pure devotees with the Lord develops because of devotional service to the Lord on the authentic basis of Vedic authority. Such pure devotees are not mundane sentimentalists, but are factually realists because their activities are supported by the Vedic authorities who have given oral reception to the facts mentioned in the Vedic literatures. The word paraya is very significant. Parabhakti, or spontaneous love of God, is the basis of an intimate relationship with the Lord. This highest stage of relationship with the Lord can be attained simply by hearing about Him, His name, form, quality, etc. from authentic sources like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, recited by pure, unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Om Ganatimirandasya Gananchana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatayubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 9 Text 5 Ye tu tvadiya charanam bhuja kosha gantam Jigranti karna vivarai shruti vatanitam Bhaktya grihita charanam paraya chatesham Napaishina taridayam buruhat svapumsam. O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears accept your devotional service. For them you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. This is Lord Brahma speaking, and the chapter is entitled Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. And so Brahma is a major character in Srimad Bhagavatam. He's the head of our sampradaya, our disciplic succession, all starting from Krishna. It is described in the first verse of the 18,000 verse Srimad Bhagavatam, Teni Brahma Ridaya Adikavye, that Krishna revealed all of the Vedas through the sound of his flute. The Vedas are the Krishna's flute vibration into the heart. Teni Brahma Ridaya Adikavye, into the heart of Brahma. And in Brahma, this is about Brahma's process of getting inspiration, empowerment, and realization and revelation for his service of creation. That's also extensively described from somewhat of a different angle in Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Brahma gets a realization. He comes out with the what's known as the Brahma Samhita in the book, in the revealed literature, Brahma Samhita, text 29 to 55. There are 27 verses spoken by Brahma in his epiphany, ecstatic realization, directly experiencing Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. The first of those verses, Chintamani Prakarasat Masukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabir Apipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrasatasam Brahma Savyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending the cows, yielding all desires in abodes built of spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees and served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. And then he goes on with these brilliant, shining realizations. So here Brahma's praying for creative energy. So this is significant. Brahma is an inconceivably powerful living being, and inconceivable intelligence from our point of view. And to do his service, he is praying. He's praying to Krishna. He's praying to Krishna. So yesterday, Bhakti and Rosemary mentioned some exchange with Naveen Krishna Prabhu. He said, well, there's surrender. That's not complete. There's also dependency. So Lord Brahma, he's realizing he's completely dependent on Krishna. And there's work like everything depends on us, and pray like everything depends on Krishna, because it does. Because it does. Hare Krishna, Gajendra Prabhu. Welcome. Good to see you. And so Brahma, he's saying here in text 5 of chapter 9, Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet, carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears, accept your devotional service. For them you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. So this is reminiscent, brings to mind the pastimes of Brahma's first progeny, and the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, and Sanandana. And that's described a little later in this canto. Chapter 15 of the third canto is entitled Description of the Kingdom of God, and there's chapters there about the four Kumaras. They were impersonally realized, like Shukadev Goswami, and they were impersonally realized, but unlike others who have realization of the Brahmagyute, of the non-personal aspect of the Absolute, they had no envy of Krishna, of Vishnu, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So their transformation, Bhagavatam, it's all about transformation. Their transformation came from fragrance. They got a whiff of the fragrance of the tulasi flowers offered at the feet of Vishnu, and that's it. Then they were transformed. They were transformed from the bliss, the relief of material misery that comes from impersonal realization, and then they went to Shantaras, appreciating the greatness of Vishnu. And so their transformation came from fragrance. And so Brahma, this chapter is entitled his prayers. He's praying to be able to do his service, and this requires, he's so great, and then he's realizing, but he's dependent, and we're dependent. We talk a lot about independence. We talk a lot about independence in our transformative communication, coach training seminars, to not be attached, be independent. The reality is we are dependent. That's the reality. Our choice is to be dependent on material energy or spiritual energy. Spiritual energy means bhakti. It means service to Krishna. And to the extent that we're choosing to be dependent on bhakti yoga, on that internal energy, Antaranga Shakti, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we're independent of the material energy. Just like, okay, I'm choosing to be dependent on the state. I'm going to follow, because if I look at it, yeah, look, all the roads come from the state, and the water supply, and the protection and the security. So I'm dependent on the state. So I'm gonna follow the laws. Then I'm free from the prison system. I'm free from the guards and like, now you only have 30 minutes in the exercise. No, then I'm free, acknowledging my dependence. And if I choose to violate the laws, I'm still dependent on the state. Maybe I'm saying, no, I'm an anarchist. I don't believe in the law. Okay, you don't believe in the law. Right now you're in a straight jacket in solitary confinement. Yeah, I'm not dependent on anyone. No, then we're still dependent on the state in that metaphor, just through the system called the prison system, through the prison system. And so, yeah, so Brahma, he goes through his test like we go through our tests. Was it chapters 13 and 14 of Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's called the Brahma Vimohan Lila. Lila means pastime. Vimohan means illusion. So Brahma is this great personality, incredibly intelligent, and then he's so he thought he'll show off his mystic powers on this insignificant cowherd boy Krishna, and because like, no, this Krishna, he's just this cowherd boy, and playing with his friends and eating some rice and yogurt preparation, and so like I'm going to steal, and I won't go through the whole pastime, marvelous pastime described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Krishna book, and so basically his mystic power boomerangs on him, and he just gets completely bewildered. He gets completely bewildered in the process of trying to bewilder Krishna, the residents of Vrindavan. Then in his humility, he realizes like, okay, I've been like completely defeated, and so now let me bow down, look to Krishna and acknowledge I'm dependent on my Lord. So we can say, well, I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm dependent for some things, but like, okay, like I want to pick up this watch. I pick up this watch. I'm independent. No. There's like, okay, I'm desiring. The spirit soul desires, but then to actually pick up the watch, there's like all sorts of muscles and nerve endings, all just trillions of cells, and if Krishna, through the demigods and the modes of nature, if Krishna wants to take away that power, then I won't be able to pick up the watch, and at some point this hand will have no power to pick up the watch, and the legs will have no power to walk, and the whole body won't be able to see. Well, I'm dependent. Look, I'm looking there, and I'm looking there, and I can see this. Well, it's all dependent on the sunlight. Take sunlight away, I don't see anything. Take air away, I don't hear anything. The sound doesn't travel. Okay. So this is like a foundational quality, this surrender and realizing our dependence on Krishna, not to misuse that, like, well, it's all up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so I'll just lounge around on the sofa and see what happens. So it's about, Utsanishtaya Daya Tata Karma Pravartana Sri Rupa Goswami. He describes and defines different qualities that are conducive to progress in purification of heart, watering the garden of the heart, and progressing in devotional service. First quality, enthusiasm, which Srila Prabhupada defines as endeavor executed with intelligence. So we give our 100% with while realizing ultimately the results are up to Krishna. There's a saying by the philosopher Hutchins, once we commit, then providence moves. He got it from the German philosopher Goethe, something similar. So, yeah, so we have our roles to play. And so, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Purport about parabhakti, or spontaneous love of God, is the basis of an intimate relationship with the Lord. Okay, so this kind of, sometimes we talk about states of consciousness and stages of consciousness. So this talks about what's called like the Raganuga stage of consciousness. The Raganuga indicates service through from spontaneous love. We've been quoting a few times in recent programs. Yeah, this conversation where some of the students seem maybe a bit disgruntled, maybe some complaining mood, and they're talking about 16 rounds. Yeah, I have to do 16 rounds. And Prabhupada responds, why not 16,000 rounds? Why not 16,000? So that's the Raganuga stage, right? Where kind of like transcendental frustration and I wish I could chant 16,000 rounds per day. Rather than Prabhupada would sometimes imitate in a lovingly mocking way, kind of like, Hare Krishna, okay, finish 16, okay, now I can do any damn thing I want, all right, got that out of the way, like that. So Raganuga stage, and then Prabhupada's point there is that, or at least one of his points that I understand, is that, okay, so the only reason why we need commitment structures is because we don't have taste. Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehanam raso varjamasobhyasya paramadrishta nivartate. Krishna says we're generally not going to give up a lower taste until we have a higher taste to replace it with. And that's supported by scientific research on the science of habit change. We can try willpower and all of that, and that has its place. But unless we have something that gives some higher taste to replace the cigarettes with, then, or whatever the habit is, we're going to go back to it. That's actually a key principle in the science of habit change. And actually I've had many clients who somehow through their coaching or like that, because if we look at, speaking about cigarette habit or smoking, whatever, and so like it engages essentially the same faculties as chanting japa, right? The tongue and the fingers, and so here's something to replace it with. So we'll chant a round of japa, and then they replace cigarettes with chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, like that. And yes, so Prabhupada's encouraging that. All right, so yeah, when one has the taste, then there's no have to energy, then just spontaneously, all the soul wants to do is to absorb in sound vibration about Krishna and from Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and absorb in forms of the transcendental realm, Krishna's flute, Krishna's associates, and absorb in those pastimes like Brahma, Vimohan, Leela, and the unlimited pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Nama, Rupa, the qualities of Krishna, Guna, Leela, the associates, and then, okay, so to come, Prabhupada's emphasizing, to come to Raganuga Bhakti, then we do sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means like we'll follow some authorized rules and regulations, and then gradually we develop the taste. The Sri Upadeshamrita gives an analogy Prabhupada often uses about like jaundiced. Apparently when someone has the disease of jaundice, then both of my children were born with jaundice. Minor cases, like an extra day or two in the birthing center or something like that. So I don't know much about it, but we hear that they a sweet thing will taste bitter. Interestingly though, the cure for jaundice is to eat sweets, and then as one gets cured, then the sweets taste, their natural sweetness is tasted. It's tasted more and more fully. So, for the spirit soul, to the shining diamond spirit soul, then actually chanting Hare Krishna and doing service to Krishna and through his pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, this is just sweet. This is just sweetness. This is just sweetness personified. And then we say, well, I'm not, maybe a few glimpses here and there, so we're not tasting that steadily to the extent that we're allowing the diamond to still be covered. And so the process of pulling the weeds and watering the garden of the heart, that's an analogy from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, extensively explained in chapter 19 of the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's called the Rupa Siksha chapter. Lord Chaitanya speaking to Sri Rupa Goswami. And then Rupa Goswami expands in his literatures like Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then as we practice, as we, in a sense, as we take the medicine, then and follow the regulative principles of freedom given to us by the authorized representative of Krishna, then the natural sweetness, we're experiencing that. We're experiencing that more and more. And so this, right, so it talks about smelling. Here it talks about fragrance, about sound. And so this is the thing, we're going to be absorbed in smells. We're going to be absorbed in sound vibrations, whether through reading or what did you hear, what's the news say, who won the game, and the gossip. We're going to be involved in sound vibration. We're going to be involved in pastimes, in activities, our own, or talking about others, and qualities. And so, like in Safatov, it's all about transformation. Essentially, the transformation is transforming our taste and consciousness from material, name, form, sound, qualities, and pastimes by material, which means that which entangles us further in the illusion of Ishvaroham, Aham Bogi, Siddhoham Balavan Sukhi, entangles us further in the illusion that I'm the controller, I'm perfect, powerful, happy, I'm the enjoyer, I am this body. I'll be happy when I satisfy the senses of this body and I get the gross senses or the subtle senses. I get that respect or that honor. Like that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshastaka verse number 3. Trinadapi sunichena taroyava sahishtuna amanina madadena kirtanya sadahari. So the fourth pada, the fourth line, 24-hour constant kirtan. Kirtan all the time, kirtanya sadahari. But that comes after the first 3 lines. viewing oneself, seeing oneself as lower than the straw in the street, ready to be more tolerant than a tree, demanding no respect or honor for oneself, ready to offer all respects to all other living entities. In such a state of mind, then we're set to engage in kirtan, the actual bliss of the soul, constantly. And so transformation from the material, name, form, pastimes to spiritual, that which awakens the original eternal blissful cognizant consciousness of the soul. That's those forms, names that are imbued with bhakti, Krishna's internal energy, and moves us to our original jivara, Srubhoi Krishnera Nityadas Krishnera Tatasta Shakti Beta Beta Prakash, to our original consciousness and our original function, dharma, and activity of humble, loving, devotional service, unmotivated from Krishna. Now, in a sense, everything's spiritual, and it's important to make distinctions. So, from Krishna's point of view, or the pure devotee's point of view, everything's spiritual. At the same time, we don't want to take that cheaply. It's described Stavraj and Gamadeki Nadeki Taramurti Sarvatra Hayanija Ishta Deva Sporti, that the one who's immersed in that Raganuga consciousness, they say, like, they might see the forms of trees and houses, but they're not really seeing the material forms. They're seeing Krishna everywhere. And as we fill up our consciousness with Krishna consciousness, with Srimad Bhagavatam and Hare Krishna Mahamantra and devotion to Prabhupada's mission, then we become more and more touchstones for transformation. And then by our very presence, then we naturally transform matter into spirit. And by realizing really how to transform everything into seeing everything in its connection with Krishna. Anasaktasya vishayan yatraham upayunjata. Near banda. Banda means connection. English word bondage comes from that Sanskrit word. Banda Krishna sambade yuktam vairagam uchyate. Right? Sometimes we'll hear, or we've heard over the decades, like, oh, Prabhu, that movie's Maya. Oh, that's Maya. So, in a sense, nothing is Maya. Nothing is Maya. Everything is Krishna's energy. Whether it's that movie, or an example we gave at a seminar not too long ago. What is the vodka in the vodka bottle? It is Krishna's energy. It's true. Therefore, the more vodka I drink on any given day, the more Krishna conscious I become. Not necessarily. That would be false logic. So the art and the science of Yukta Vairagya is how to relate to Krishna's different energies in such a way that myself and everyone involved moves towards that original consciousness of self-realization and super soul connection. And so with some energies, probably best to keep a distance. And that's like the art of relationship. Okay, it's like what are the healthy boundaries in each relationship that are going to be truly win-win, and to truly win-win, support everyone, myself included, to advance in self-realization and Krishna consciousness. And so now Krishna says, like third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, like, even those who are on that Raganuga platform, generally speaking, there are some exceptions, generally speaking, they kind of follow the rules and regulations of sadhana anyway, like to set an example, But then, like, we can we like we can experience that raganuga enthusiasm, even if it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe actually, yeah, it used to be kind of like, oh, getting up at 4 a.m. or oh gosh, yeah, but now like, oh, sometimes it's just like I get to get up early and and have full morning program and like that. So that's at least that's the taste of Raganuga. That's the taste of Raganuga. I get to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa today. I get to study Srimad Bhagavatam. I get to engage in, because we're going to engage in services. Okay, I noticed maybe around an hour and a half ago. So Anasuya arrives and, all right, so you're going to the altar. You're noticing things that need to be cleaned and organized that I didn't even notice. Wouldn't have noticed in weeks. I could go on. And you're getting flowers and Bhakti Rosemary, you're writing the verse, and Lakshmi Priya, I'm going to bring this prasad preparation. So that's it. That's like enthusiastic service. It's not forced. It's from love. It's because people say, oh, I'm far from love of Krishna. You know, there's like a nice, there's truth, you know, to that. Humble state. At the same time, here we are on a Thursday morning discussing Brahma's prayers to Krishna and Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the natural love of the soul for Krishna that's manifesting. And so the process of transformation from matter to spirit is engaging, just filling our lives up more and more with spiritual sound vibration, spiritual association. It starts with association. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido shushusho saradanya seva vasudeva kataruchi shanmahat sevya vibra punyatirtha nishevana. It starts with association. And yeah, I mean, back in my, I'll call it my pre-early days, pre-Bhakti Dev days, when, you know, I was taking copious amounts of prasadam. But, you know, I, as I mentioned, I think on Sunday's discussion, Sunday morning, but I was noticing, even though I wasn't admitting it, like, there's something really, like, authentic and timeless and solid here. Couldn't admit it even to myself, what to speak of my friends or family. And also I was noticing, like, those devotees, Stambadas Prabhu and the others there in Stika, like I was noticing there's something special about their character and their demeanor. There's like something special that like shines in a way that's not shining anywhere else. Like I wasn't acknowledging it, but I was noticing. And then so through that association we get, well, what are they doing that's giving them this special quality? They chant this mantra, okay, and they read these books, and they get up at 4 a.m. Oh, okay, you know, maybe I should. And then through the association, then Srinasvatam Sakta Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanan Vidyanta Stovi Bhadrani. If you do an Suritsiktam, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in the heart of all living entities, personally cleanses the heart from material desire for the devotee who has developed an urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So it all starts with, just like if someone, I want to become a top surgeon. Okay, there's going to be like definitely years where we're like hanging out a lot with medical students and professors of medicine, because like, yeah, they're expert in what I want and the qualities I want to be really good at business. All right, we're going to hang out with other business people, and how do they do the business and like that. So we really want to cleanse the heart and move and progress in the path of bhakti and serve Prabhupada with sincerity. So we're going to associate there, and the more we fill ourselves up, then we become that inspiring association. We become that touchstone for transformation. Coming to closure here, several times in the purport, at least 3 times that I noticed, Prabhupada used the term the authentic sources, authorities. So this is key, just like again in any field, oh yeah, I wanna become really expert in medicine like that. And we're hanging out with quacks. We're hanging out with quacks who, it's worse than they don't know anything. Maybe they have a little knowledge and they're misusing it and they're mixing it with this and that. And if we did research, we find that like a big percentage of their patients have died and things like that. So like that's not going to help. But maybe they have some shiny thing. No, I have this snake oil here. It cures everything. Oh, okay. Like that. So yeah. So similarly in not just spiritual life, but even in the name of bhakti, a verse Prabhupada often quotes Shruti, Smriti Puranadi Pancharatri Vidim Vida Akantaki Harer Bhakti Utpatayaiva Kalpate. And it's Prabhupada quoting the Vedas that like even it's imperative if we want to make advancement and not be stagnant or even not do harm in the name of bhakti, that we're following Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra, that we're following an authorized, authentic process from an authentic disciplic succession. Our process is Pancharatra, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra. So our process gets technical, but it's the Pancharatriki process. It's not the traditional Vedic process, which would be the Vaidika process, where it's so where one moves up in the Varnas and maybe goes in the Brahman realization, and then it could take lifetime. So our process is coming from Narada Muni, who's also a stalwart pillar of our disciplic succession, Pancharatriki. It's a scripture called the Narada Pancharatra, and that's what Prabhupada's giving us. That's what his spiritual master gave. Kali Yuga, for the most part, the traditional Vedic process, it's bona fide, but it's not practical. And so this process is just like, okay, someone's got no qualifications, like sattva qualities are hard to find, Brahminical training, no, but there's some spark of sincerity. So let's just fan that spark. Main way to fan that spark. Hear Srimad Bhagavatam, hear and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Kirtaniya Siddha Hare. Do kirtan all the time, offer flowers with sincerity, and that's the Pancharatriki process. I'll close at this time. I'll read the verse again. Text 5, chapter 9, Canto 3, Srimad Bhagavatam. Ye tutvadiya charanam bhujakosha gandham te grantikarna vivarai shrutivadanitam bhaktya grihita charanam paraya chatesham naipaishina taridayam buruhat svapumsam. O my Lord, persons who smell the aroma of your lotus feet, carried by the air of Vedic sound through the holes of the ears, accept your devotional service. For them you are never separated from the lotus of their hearts. Hare Krishna. Thanks for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Krista. I welcome at this time any questions or comments, realizations. Gajendra Prabhu.
I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got here. It was, I really enjoyed the class and connections. I have a little comment and a little question.
Okay.
this is a little more related to the comment part.
Okay.
I was thinking about, you're talking about Sadhana Bhakti
Yeah.
and Raga and Yuga Bhakti. You also talked about the Kamaras that's related to the verse and the fragrance. So what I'm looking at is before one engages in Sadhana Bhakti.
Yeah.
And what was coming to me, and if you said it and I missed it, I'm sorry, is I was definitely thinking about in the Bhagavad Gita, talks about like 4 kinds of people on the favorable side.
Yeah.
And maybe it's, suffering or wisdom or some desire, whatever it is, but there's something that precedes. It's not like someone just like, oh, I want to do something about it. There's something that has to precede it.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
And so I was really, really thinking about that verse. My question is, and what that could be, by the way. So the other part of it is there's that sense of mercy. Yeah. Even in a prasadam sense. Yeah. And in our cases, it was literally prasadam that we eat, and it's kind of called mercy. So there could be the maybe I'm suffering, I'm looking for it, but it could but there seems to be another component, which is mercy. Yeah, in the process. The pure devotee gives the bhakti lot to be causeless mercy, not like I deserved it or something. So that gets even more to the source. Yeah, we're just sitting there and suffering without mercy. So the question has to do with, you mentioned the different rasas. Yeah. And you mentioned Shanta rasa. Yeah. If anything more you might say about Shanta rasa, I've often think of it in the sense of peace or neutrality. Yeah. Anything to say about Shanta rasa? Okay, thank you. It's included as one of the rasas. It's included. In some analyses that are more strict, some they say, well, the real rasas start at dasya, but mostly it's included. Well, my understanding of that Shanta, like even we like Shanti, 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 peace, peace, and so Shanta Ras, Shanta Rati, there's attachment to the absolute, and it's characterized by peace because there's detachment from material desires. So there's detachment from matter. There's detachment from matter, and there is attachment to Krishna, or at least it could be Shantaras is maybe more associated. I mean, there's a whole continuum of Shantaras. We can say like the blades of grass in Vrindavan are like Shantaras, but okay. So Shantaras tends to be more associated with attachment to the Paramatma, super soul form of expansion of Krishna, like that, and definitely it's peace because it's freedom from material desires. In Shantaras, kind of like, let's say, that traditional Vedic system, and one moves up through the different varnas and then becomes like Brahman. Brahman means Brahman realized. So that's Shantaras. That's the beginning of Shantaras, or the yogi, right? That's kind of that quintessential meditating yogi, meditating on super soul, Shantaras. Okay, freedom from material desires and attachment. There's when Krishna says, "Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartete iti matvabajanti mam jnana bhutva advayam." He says that that those who realize my greatness, so that's Shantaras, it's realizing the greatness of the absolute. And then there's not yet like the inspiration to do practical service. There is service because that smaranam, that remembrance and the greatness, that's a form of service. But then as
as one in Shantaras, is more and more absorbed in the greatness, then it tends to be natural. Now, how can I serve you? How can I serve you? Then that gets into the dasyaras. So that's some of my understanding.
So I think there is not an offensive in any way, an offensive impersonalism, just like you mentioned the Kamars, there was a non-enviousness, there wasn't anything sort of negative.
Right. Yes.
But there is a sense of impersonalism to it.
Well, it's kind of like a bridge there. Yeah, it's kind of like a bridge there from the Brahmagyoti realization, and then just the beginnings of devotion. So yeah, there is some sense there. Still, it's not very. The idea of I want to personally serve you is not particularly developed in Santaras. But there is like, oh, this is such a great person. But then if it develops more into I want to serve you, then it becomes dasyaras.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
To go a little bit farther. So, living in this world as we are, as having this human.
Yeah.
So, when we often think of rasas, we're thinking in relation to, Krishna, my relation to Krishna, other devotees, other beings' relations to Krishna. And in this world, it's like, well, we have relationships.
We have relationships.
People. We have, friendships or servant relationships, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Of the types.
Yeah.
Which, I guess is in some way a reflection of our relationship in Krishna. So in this world, sometimes just like to sort of have peace. I'm not married, but I can imagine like maybe a husband and wife have some type of dispute, or some friends have a dispute, and there can just sort of be a shift where you sort of actively disengage.
I need some distance here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there is sort of a sense of like I'm withdrawing to a peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Is that related at all?
Thank you. I would say it is, and I think it relates to a comment that Anandini shared. She wrote, "Sounds very attractive. In Santaras there is no pain of separation." So, my understanding, I'm not claiming, I appreciate the comment. It relates to Gajendra Prabhu's comment. I'm not claiming to be very much realized about, the intricacies of rasa. But, basically, the intense, painful suffering of separation that comes in the more intimate rasas. The parental and the romantic, the madhurya, like that. So, basically, let's just say there would seem to be relatively less pain of separation, because there's not too much personal connection and service and like that. So yeah. Thank you, Anandini and Gajendra. Hare Krishna.
I'll just kind of continue on this thing. Anansi and I had a big conversation about this one day, last night or night before, some recently. I asked her to come by because all this stuff is coming up for me about association.
Yeah.
And I'm in a public place, like you were saying, like there's all the other people besides Krishna and the devotees, then there's all those other massive amounts of people as a host and as a neighbor and a friend and so forth. And there's so much going on at Prabhupada's house with activity of all sorts.
Yeah.
So I'm the leader, and I have to set clear boundaries with my time, my space, and I definitely have to fill my cup in the morning before it all starts. And I associate in the morning to get that going. But the day, it's not a regulated day at all, because everybody's got different plans, different things and needs, different. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of people there for lunch, and sometimes there's none.
And then because it's not a regulated day, it makes
Yeah.
it even more important that you're regulated in
Yes.
your morning. So
It doesn't work if I don't.
Yeah,
So that's, and thankfully I'm a morning person, so it's perfect. But then, because now I've been there 6 years,
yeah,
now there's long-term relationships that
right.
they think they're serious relationships, but if they're not devotees, it's more longevity. It's not really devotional activity together. So I'm not willing to expand on those relationships any further than, say, hostess or neighbor.
Yeah.
Except with the ones who are willing to be in a God-centered relationship with me, even if it's not Krishna. There's quite a few that have a spiritual life of some sort. It may not be huge, and it's definitely, but I can see how my practice inspires them, because they're always curious about what time I get up, what I'm reading, what I'm doing, what does that mean. So there's that, and I feel tolerant of that, and I feel connected to continue those, that smaller group of relationships. But because I've been there such a long time now I know the whole neighborhood and the town, and the artists and the musicians and the people who work at the restaurant and the people that come to yoga and the churches nearby. Now it's just this plethora of people, and I know exactly who and who isn't interested in having a God-centered conversation with me. And so I'm noticing myself pulling back from that extraneous. It's just a distraction to me. But yet, for them who don't understand that necessarily, they're like, where have you been? Where are you going?
Yeah.
And I got a few messages yesterday from various people saying, you must be really busy. So I took time to explain without, going too deep what was going on. And so I called on Asuya and said, well, we need to talk, because there's just some things I'm just not willing to do anymore, even though I'm very grounded in this community. As we expand across the street, I said, we really have to focus, because
focus in.
I can't just be the social house of Melrose. I'm not willing to do that. And so I don't want to go out for pizza with everybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to go just hang out. But I had to do some of that in the beginning, just to get my foot in the door.
Yeah, at the beginning, that was actually part of your service, even though externally it could look mundane. But then you've cultivated friendships. Now you're looking like, okay, now it's 5-6 years, so you're looking like to be streamlined, not to be impolite or disrespectful at the same time. To be more rigorous about your boundaries, so that you're more and more enlivened and a touchstone for transformation. Because like if you just, I'm hearing like if you do some of the same things in the same quantity that you did 5 years ago, it's going to be draining.
Yeah, it's already draining.
It's already draining. Yeah.
And it's, the realtor suggested, well, why don't you put a lock or a fence or a gate? And I'm like, well, we're a bhakti house. We're not going to do that, because we're open. But if we go across the street, then could we have a separate setup? Yes, we can create something completely different. And we can have some personal life separated from hosting, but then that feels a little not direct. I don't know. We're still figuring it out, but I wouldn't be so deep in this process right now if I didn't live. I'm not working at a job where I have to go. I have a bit of control of who comes and goes somewhat, but it's spending so much time at Prabhupada's house in morning programs. There's a beautiful temple room. There's plenty of places to chant and get close to Krishna, and there's plenty of space to read. And so I didn't have that before in my life. And so as my bhakti has expanded and grown and enriched me, I'm not the same person as when I showed up there.
Yeah.
And so, some people have disappeared because it got too much for them. Other people have come close, but there's this constant measuring my boundaries, and then because at the same time I'm changing, I'm evolving, and so I know it's confusing for them, and I think it's even confusing for Anasuya, because the other day she came up with something to do, and I said, I'm not willing to do that. I don't want to spend social time with it'd have to be a really good reason for me to go do that. And so explaining, and then really by having a conversation with her, reflecting my own stuff, where am I at as we expand? That doesn't mean, more social time, more pizza, more hanging out. If I do a class or a cooking class or a
Yeah.
movie night or a Bhagavad Gita class than to really be focused on the service. And when the service part's over, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier, is like we get that initial attraction. You know, I was at Sabatove, I noticed you and Melanie and the devotees and how there was different behavior, and I said, oh, I don't know what that is, but I want some.
Yeah.
And so I know that's what they're getting, but I don't have Sabatove, so I'm doing it in these ways like sushi and pizza class and stuff. But it's so indirect. Sometimes it gets clouded with, oh, she likes to just cook and hang out over there. We can just go anytime, and there'll be prasadam and conversation, and she's going to listen for hours while we describe our whole life problems. And she's so, available. And now I'm not. I'm just not anymore. So I've like the boundaries have gotten really tight, and it's caused me to get clear. And I'm not a clear thinking person generally. So I'm just like what you're saying today. I wrote a lot of notes. And it just was perfect timing with what's happening with our expansion over there. So I just wanted to, I think I want some more clarity on it. And I heard what you just reflected and already have something cleaner in my heart. But because Anasuya's not out there with me, she has a different experience.
Yeah.
So it's coming together on it, being really clear. I don't think I have a question except that, I don't want to waste as much time as I used to.
Yeah.
I want to be more focused. As I'm learning how to do that and embracing that, I think I might need some coaching on like where are my boundaries, and I want to have a vibrant home full of guests that are experiencing bhakti for the first time and having prasadam for the first time or 20th time or 300th time. I want to do all that, but I also don't want to be a doormat of hospitality,
Appreciate your sharing, Priya. Thanks for sharing your process of the evolution of the Prabhupada House project.
Yeah.
And you're about to like expand substantially, and then it requires it's inviting you, inviting you to look at like that means like you need to expand deep in order to effectively, joyfully handle the expansion that's requiring you to expand and deepen your consciousness, your Krishna consciousness, and maybe something, use the term waste time, maybe something that 4 or 5 years ago, based on where you were at and where the community was at, maybe something would not have been considered waste of time, that now would be like, that would be a waste of time. You're already feeling the drain, and so this is message. A quality of a devotional soul is avyarta kalatvam, not wanting to waste a moment outside of that which is purposeful, Krishna consciousness. And and
I think even then sometimes I was like, I don't want to do this, it's wasteful.
Yeah.
But I've got to get to know the people, so I'm going to have to go to this birthday party or this pizza night thing, because I can't just be in these 4 walls going, where is everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate your process, and I hear
it's my turn to be their association.
Yes,
right?
that's it.
I took it, I've taken it still, I'm coming up here to get some still,
Yeah.
taking it from you, Melanie, and whoever else I can get it from. But it's my turn to be that leader in the house, and to go, okay, now they're the curious ones going, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
And so I have to be much more careful, and the leadership role that I carry has to be more refined. It started out weaker because I didn't know. I'd never had that experience before. I didn't know how to. I'd always just been a social director or a hostess or whatever. But now it's doing that for Krishna and Prabhupada. It's a whole different setup, and just filling in that role and doing it with grace, and then allowing it to keep growing. And it is organically keeping growing. So I have to grow along with it. I get to grow along with it. Unless I leave, it's a never-ending growth opportunity.
Yeah.
If I go in the woods, like I think about once a week, get out of here with all this loud stuff, then I'm not going to grow. Yeah. So it's a growth opportunity, and I take it seriously. But at the same time, it's confusing sometimes. Like I could probably finish the Bible time if I didn't have to do all that pizza class stuff. Anyway, thank you.
I hear you. I believe I personally relate in some ways.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement, talking to Krishna, anxiety is undertaken in your service, are the source of my greatest ecstasy. So it's like you're in, I would call it healthy spiritual anxiety about like, yeah, how do I show up as like, I am the senior association here. And so what are going to be effective boundaries where it's not like putting up walls and people feel rejected at the same time. At the same time, it's like things are humming in bhakti and the potent, because if the boundaries are too loose, then the potency is like that. So I appreciate your transcendental anxiety.
I'm so glad that you're here to show us, because when we come here, we experience that, not just at Sabato, but just here in your home ashram, just how you navigate when there's a lot of people here, and just witnessing you and Molly over the years of how to keep those. I don't know if I could do it if I didn't see what it looked like, because theoretically it doesn't sound very pleasing, but it's just definitive. It's not wishy-washy. It's we time, place, circumstance, constantly checking out who's here, what the chemistry of, and how to handle it. There's no uniform instruction sheet. It's just each day feeling it out. Yeah, and having the role model has just been really important. So just thanks for that.
Hare Krishna. I would say there are consistent principles, and then they're applied in different ways each day, thousands of different forms.
That was amazing.
Thank you. Amazing. Yeah. Are you experiencing that too out of your place?
I'm right, and just been so deeply into what you're talking about, making. I would love to connect sometime when we have time, because there's such a strong.
What we do is the nature of it is immersed in the what is probably the.
It's been a while since we've talked. There's been a lot that's happened in my world, and it's amazing. But I'm really connecting to what you're saying, and I think a big part of it is we're probably both in a place, because I hear you so deeply, is just really stepping more into a role with all humility, but just really stepping into a role, I think, as sort of, if it's given to us as service, a role of sort of spiritual authority, really raising the standard of what it's about. And for me, at the beginning when you were talking, I was just thinking about like Vyasadeva feeling so unsatisfied and having to talk with Narada, because we need to go deeper. It's time to go deeper. And whatever we were doing in the past, it's not something to be attached to or conditioned or have ego about. It's time to really step in to the deeper role of service.
Yeah, I think that our age is similar. I think that has a lot to do with too, just it's time. There's not a whole lot of time left to waste. And if we were 28, it'd probably be different, 38, 48, but here we are. So now it's let's go.
So part of this is also confidence.
Yeah.
Spiritually, for devotional service.
It's confidence in the process, and like, hey, here's my role. Let me humbly stand strong.
I see it. I'm clear about it. I accept it.
Yeah.
Also, the closer I get to Krishna, I really truly understand that nobody comes there by accident. So my judgments or already knowing how it's going to play out, or looking at someone by what they're driving or carrying or wearing or what they're saying, like to learn to look past that and see them as a spirit soul, and know that they didn't arrive there by any accident. That now what's going to unveil that I get to be a servant to, because it's just it's so unknown to everybody. I know honestly you shared about our construction. I've been hosting all these construction workers lately. It's not my typical client. I have a lot of women that are searching and things like that. But to have a lot is a different energy. So I'm just figuring out how to navigate that and still it not just be a hotel owner. Just like how do we? These are burly men with trucks and big boots and beards, and they like to drink beer. And so the fact that they're going with the house rules, like that's a huge win. So how do we navigate that?
It's it's no accident that burly beer drinking construction workers are coming to Prabhupada House.
Yeah,
of all
dozens
places.
of them, and
Yeah.
it's because we have a big space. So yeah, it's so then it settles my heart about what do I do. I just go, well, Krishna knows that this is what I need right now, so let me adjust my tentacles and kind of figure it out and not and that trust. It's like because it can get annoying sometimes if I go to a material place and just go, I'm trusting. I have a house full of men right now, all in the construction business. Go figure. And then
In two different groups.
and yeah, they're not in the same.
Associated.
Yeah, they're not the same, but they happen to check in at the same time, which made both parties feel a lot easier about all the Krishna books and no shoes and no beer drinking and all that. And they all agreed to the rules and everything, but it's like it's just an interesting game changer that's been going on the last few months. So just you roll with it. But that because my bhakti is deeper, because I've had 6 years of Prabhupada's house, I can handle it. I don't know what I would have done if that happened in the beginning.
You can handle it, yeah.
He says no accident. I'm seeing it as no accident and super soul arranged with high-level synchronicity that Lakshmi Priya and Gajendra, that the two of you came to this Thursday morning program. It seems like in different sides of Alachua County for several years now, you're both developing these projects. And
I actually prayed for this.
Yeah.
So thank you for showing. I actually prayed for this because I was thinking we need some other people to give us instructions, and I was going to ask that we reach out to Gajendra, and then you appear. And then you appear.
Listening to Lakshmi Priya, like having Shakti jolts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it occurred to me because I know Priya Rose is having this Kuli Mela thing, and she asked me to participate.
Nice.
And I thought, well, what am I gonna? And she said, well, they're young, they want to learn about business. What can you? And I thought maybe just teach people how to do a devotional Airbnb.
Wow.
Because
you're the expert in that.
I'm an expert.
You are.
Yes. And this all set up, so then we get people out to Prabhupada's house, to devotees out there. So this morning in my job, I was like thinking about, beef bags cooking. What am I gonna, and then I'm like, okay, yeah.
I'm very glad Priya Rose contacted you to invite you to be part of Kuli Mela in June.
I was gonna ask.
Very glad about that.
Okay, good.
Very happy.
I'll take some support on that when you get back, because it's in June.
Yeah.
On what maybe refining what that could look like.
Yeah.
Using Prabhupada's house as a training ground.
I'm glad to support you, as you know. Definitely.
Yeah, you might want to be there too. I don't know if you're taking part in that, but it seems like maybe we could do it together. I don't know. Hare Krishna.
I was invited too. Well, I've been part of Kuli Melas going back like 20 years since the first ones in Los Angeles, and there was the Ford Theater presentation in Alachua in 2007. So yeah, and Priya, I'll share. She wouldn't mind if I share.
Yeah.
She shared that, she said, at 19 years old, she first took the foundational advance. 2005. She said that completely changed the trajectory of my life, and so she says, I want you part of this. We like that. So.
Well, had Jonathan not been in my advanced course, I wouldn't even know her.
Yeah. Jonathan is the mother of Priya. Just to make connections here.
It's all synchronicity.
If we want, we have another 2 or 3 minutes before closing. If there's any other comments or questions. Anandi.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class, and I'm very enlivened by Lakshmi Priya's and Anasuya's and
Gajendra here.
Gajendra's conversation.
I'm enlivened too.
I appreciated the words you said about spontaneous love.
Yeah.
It makes it, I just felt like hopeful, and because the examples you gave, they are so simple and natural, like the fact that we're here. It's not that we were forced to come here. and I'm noticing how many concepts I have about someone who is in this spontaneous love, and that feels scary to me, unattainable and scary and unattractive and
far away.
and so to have these examples, simple examples. Yes, I love to come to class. That's an aspect of spontaneous love.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it just makes it really grounded for me and attractive.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. I just noticed when you got here, Anasuya, it was spontaneous love. Oh, I'll get flowers. I'll arrange the altar. Just so it's very, very simple. And so I'm glad to hear that's encouraging, that we brought that very grounded aspect that you can relate to, as that's Raganuga. That's Raganuga. Spontaneous. Thank you, Anandini.
Yeah, and also to see that, I noticed that I've become somehow rigid about, oh, I need to do it right. I need to do it right, and I need to, and then one day maybe there. And so to like follow Srila Prabhupada's program of chanting, hearing and chanting, and then also relaxing into the process and trusting transformation will naturally happen. I don't need to control. I don't need to control the path of devotion. Like, in fact, wanting to control it is going to destroy it.
It'll destroy in the way. Yes, I like how you said, just hearing Prabhupada's program and relaxing into the process. Yesterday, Rosemary and I, we had a brief exchange. It was about like if there's a butterfly or something like that, and then we try to, oh, it's such a beautiful butterfly. Let me grab it, and then we destroy the whole thing. So relaxing into the process and just surrendering with dependency. Like a childlike dependency, just like if there's a busy intersection, and the child trusts, relaxing into the process. The 4-year-old can't navigate 42nd and Broadway, but no anxiety. I just lift my hand and hold the hand of mom or dad, and here's this truck, whatever, red light, and completely just relaxing into the process, this process. Shushu Kam Kortumaviyam, joyfully performed. I like the way you say that.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anandini. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for giving your consciousness and hearing power to Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.